Hey, gun people! Man, there's so much news. I got so many things going on, trying to get out. But this case is like developing so quickly. So I think it made national news, but I'm not sure. This Dallas Salon owner, Shelley Luther, she reopened her business against the order and said, "Look, I got to pay bills. I've got to. I've got employees that are dependent on me. They can't pay their bills. I can't pay my bills. I can't pay my home. I can't stay shut down." And she said it was unfair that Walmart, Home Depot, gas stations, all these other places could be open and make a living, and she couldn't because she ran a salon. Even though people in the salon industry go through a lot of training on sanitation and hand washing, etc. Now, I don't like the fact that government gets to pick and choose who can be open, who can be closed. I never like that. I don't like government control. But she took a big stand in Dallas and said, screw it. She opened her doors. And I mean, this story just went crazy. So she opens her doors. Dallas police shows up because there's a tyrannical left-wing judge there. And the judge is like a mayor in Dallas. They call him a judge, but he's basically like the mayor. And he said she couldn't be open. So he sends his thugs over with their blue line flag saying, hey, you got to shut your doors. You can't be open. She says, I ain't closing. And there were some Second Amendment guys out there with firearms protecting her right to make a living. So the cops, I think, did a good job. They said, you know what? We're going to leave. We're not going to push this. And they told her and they left. So good job for the cops. Well, they come back 2 hours later with a code enforcement officer. Code enforcement officer says, I'm ordering you to close. And if you don't, you're going to be cited. She goes, I ain't closing. So they give her a ticket. So she tears up the ticket. Everybody's cheering. There's a lot of people that are out there cheering her on. She stays open. And then she gets a court date. And she goes to court. And this piece of shit judge, Judge Moye, and I mean, wait till you hear about this guy. Big Obama fan, big anti-white, big I'm in charge, and he posted on his Facebook that when a woman defied the law or the lockdown law and she went to jail and caught the coronavirus, he was like, I love karma. So he's kind of, a lot of people call him racist, says he makes racist comments. He doesn't like white people. Anybody that's really pro-Obama to me is pretty racist. But let's look at some other stuff this judge has done. And of course, because he's in left-wing Idiotville, Dallas, broke, high crime, the DA won't prosecute you if you commit theft of $750. He's a judge, 2014 Trial Judge of the Year. Oh, lifelong Democrat. Oh, Democrats hate working people. They think that they're entitled. Remember, people who have privilege always thinks equality is, against them because they really don't want equality. They just want their privilege. But anyway, this judge, so why does a judge in Texas, State Bar of New York, right there tells me he's a left-wing anti-freedom judge, and he ends up in freaking Texas. How the hell does this guy get elected? I'll tell you how. Because freaking Texas is going blue because people want to get along. Conservatives want to make nice. We want to welcome liberals here. We want to let them know that we're accepting and tolerant. I ain't accepting and tolerant, you left-wing idiots. I wish you'd all move out of the damn state. If you don't like the way we run the state, get the hell out of here. So, let's go back to the lady. And of course, when she was running her salon, they were wearing masks. They were doing things. She wasn't really cutting hair. She's just the owner. But she said she had employees that needed to pay bills. So she opened up, went to court, and that piece of shit judge gave her 7 days in jail. Here's part of what her attorney said.
Norwood Law Firm. And, sir, welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Now, Shelley appeared before the judge yesterday. He was willing to let her off with a fine should she basically yield and say that she was of government. What did she do?
Well, it's worse than that. He said you had to apologize to the agents of government and admit that you were selfish and imperiling everybody else in the world. You had to bend down. I mean, he didn't say you got to bend the knee, but he basically said you have to admit that you're a heretic and come back to the fold. And so it reminded me of an earlier Luther, Mr. Martin Luther, 500 years ago.
Okay, so the judge, in order to push the government agenda and push his big government and say that government is right, we're right. If you bow down and say that we were right and you were wrong, I won't send you to jail. And here's her response. So here's where the judge told her that if she apologizes, I won't send you to jail.
You can avoid jail time. Here is Judge Moye.
A determination has been made that you are in contempt of this court. You refuse to shut down your business in the face of a restraining order which required you to do so. You continue to operate your business for a full week, even after...
Notice the condescending downward. This judge isn't making a ruling. He's chastising her and making sure that she knows, I'm in charge. I'm the government. We're right. He's supporting the liberal left-wing, just happens to be black mayor, who and the judge who wants to support all these, tyrannical lockdown, taking away people's livelihood. Of course, they're all left-wing. Every one of them is left-winger, pushing their left-wing agenda. I'm going to have idiots here coming, Rick, the left and the right's the same. If you can't tell the difference between the left and the right, you're a freaking idiot. Please go somewhere else and tell everybody about how everybody's the same and it's the same bird. Because I'm telling you, the left is evil. They're destroying the country. They're destroying American values. They destroy everything they touch. They are pure evil. And anybody that welcomes them, accepts them, and tolerant of them, they take over and destroy your state. And there's plenty of facts to show and prove that.
Being ordered not to. Earlier, reference was made to your having keys to the jail. You may utilize them now. If you would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge that your actions were selfish, putting your own interests ahead of those of the community in which you live.
Her own interests in front of the community. Let's take a look at that. Really? She has a business. She opens that business. She didn't make her employees come in. Her employees chose to come in. She didn't make customers come to her. Her customers chose to come in. So see, it's all about she gave choices and government wants to tell you what your choices are. That's the difference between left and conservatives. So it's just amazing how people want to support the left and kind of say, oh, they're just the same as the right.
That they disrespected the executive orders of the state.
Oh, so now it's a crime. I'm going to send you to jail because you disrespected me and the orders of the state. Who think that sounds like communism? Really? You can't disrespect the state. You can't talk about government. You can't challenge government. You can't peacefully protest. You can't do anything with government. Wow. Good thing we have a Second Amendment. Yeah, okay. Like it's being put to use.
The orders of the county and this city. That you now see the error of your ways and understand that the society cannot function where one's own belief in a concept of liberty permits you to...
A society can't function when a person's own beliefs. That's basically saying people are too stupid to make their own decisions. You need government to tell you and to protect you from your own ignorance. This is a common theme of the left. I just don't get it. How can the left be considered to be about freedom? All they do is steal and destroy freedom, grow government. Government steals and destroys freedoms with government growth, government regulation, government taxes, redistributing wealth, taking money away from people that work on it and giving it to those that support their political party and don't work and don't earn it.
Flaunt your disdain for the rulings of duly elected officials.
Oh, the disdain for duly elected officials. I got disdain for most all duly elected officials. However, I think the governor and the attorney general is doing a great job, and I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Duly elected officials who didn't take a damn vote on any of these policies. Duly elected the judge wanting Shelley Luther to acknowledge the supremacy of the state over your life.
That you owe an apology to the elected officials whom you disrespected or flagrantly ignoring, and in one case defiling their orders, which you now know obviously apply to you.
Oh, you failed to bend and kiss the ring. You failed to show up at North Korean's president's parade and wave the flag and say yay. You didn't clap when the politicians said something that you did agree or did not agree. You didn't clap with enough enthusiasm. We need to punish you. Man, this is freaking Texas, people. When Texas falls, I mean, I don't think Texas is like the most important state and blah, blah, but I'm telling you, it's one of the standing freedom states out there. And when it falls, this country's taking a big dive.
Mark Twain.
Judge, I would like to say that I have much respect for this court and laws, and that I've never been in this position before, and it's not someplace that I want to be.
See, that's a key. Liberals see people that stand up for freedoms as they choose to be in those positions. I don't want to fight the government. I don't want to be arguing with the government and their power. I don't want to do those things. To be a good citizen, you're required to do those things. Because when you don't, all of society suffers. All of freedom dies. But it's easier to say, oh, you know what? Just get on the bus. Get on the train. When the train stops, we're going to get free housing and free government. Free food from the government. Isn't that great? Just get on the train. Just line up here and get on the train. We're going to help you. We're here to protect you. We're here to keep you safe. How freaking outrageous.
But I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. Feeding my kids is not selfish.
Which is a really great point. You're going to call somebody selfish who's going to go out there and expose herself to the virus, risk catching the virus in order to put food and to give her kids a home, give her kids the ability to have clothes on their back and food in their belly, and you're going to make her the bad guy and government the good guy. Out freaking outrageous.
I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
Booyah! Good for her. She's not going to shut the salon. So, the Texas lieutenant governor offers to pay her fine in jail. These are the elected representatives that you want, people. You want people that do not like left wing. You want people that don't like people to put the government boot on someone's neck who's out there trying to do the right thing. See, the left in Dallas, if you steal $750, they don't want to prosecute you. They won't even prosecute you and charge you with a crime. So there's no chance of you going to jail. Yet you get a woman who wants to go out and work and feed her kids, and the left wants to put her in jail because she's not respecting the state. I mean, it's just bizarro land, the difference between the left and the right. Our lieutenant governor has offered to pay this woman's fine, but it gets better. The Texas Attorney General did a letter. He can't force them to release her, but he did a letter and said it's outrageous that you're going to put somebody in jail for trying to make a living. That's wrong. Even though the governor put a shelter in place, even though he shut down, it was always pretty much voluntary compliance. And I keep reinforcing that thing. Government only wins when the people voluntarily comply. As soon as the people say, no, we will not comply, government loses power. Now, see, all they have to do is convince like 50% of the idiots to comply, and then government keeps growing and they're big enough to hold down the other 50%. And usually out of the other 50%, probably 35 to 40% won't agree, but they won't fight back. But those pesky 3%ers that believe in freedom, that believe in gun ownership, that are willing, and the oath keepers, and the other people, the vets, and the people that are willing to stand up, there comes a time when we have to choose, when are we going to stop government from taking advantage of the other 75% or 80% of the people, and when are we going to come together and say enough's enough? Remember, it takes over 50% of the people to overthrow a tyrannical government. It only takes 3% of the people when they're armed. It takes over 50% when they're not armed. That's a big stat. Now, Most people would rather not to overthrow the government. I would not like a civil war. Although I think it's needed, and I think that's the only way it's going to happen, I would prefer it not to happen. I would prefer people to wake up and elect only representatives that stand up for the people, that are anti-government, that are anti-left-wing, that are pro-freedoms, that are pro-Second Amendment, First Amendment, that is pro-Constitution, pro-America. If every elected official was that, we wouldn't need a revolution. But unfortunately, the left has convinced so many idiots that they're there to protect them and to give them freedom and that they're going to help them and that you need to rely on us and we'll give you shit. They've convinced so many idiots, and they've allowed our education system to take over the education system that produces so many idiots, that I think the only recourse, the only way this country will ever turn around is through a violent revolution, because they are pretty much outlawing peaceful protests. Every time there's a peaceful protest, the government comes in with their jackboot thugs and shoots, maces, tasers, handcuffs, and arrests people. So when you outlaw public protests, peaceful protests, you mandate violent revolution. And today, the governor of Texas released an executive order about reopening more things, bars, restaurants, etc. But he also did an executive order, or in this order, maybe it was this one down here. Let me get to it. Because of this left-wing crap in Dallas, he issues an executive orders to eliminate confinement as a punishment. Now, the judge is getting around this because the left wing will always find ways to push their agenda through lies, registering dead people to vote, not wanting voter ID, open borders, flooding the state, flooding the country, making the country diluted of people that love America and bringing in more and more that hate us. So the left will always find a way to skirt the law in order to steal freedom and to push their liberal left-wing idiot ideology. So he eliminates, the governor does an executive order, eliminate confinement as punishment. The judge didn't put her in jail as punishment for that. He put her in jail for contempt. Contempt is the most abused law that judges use. That's what gives them their power. If you go in a judge's chamber, they can throw you in jail with no hearing, no due process, no representation, no nothing. They can just say, you're in contempt. And I've watched judges do it because they didn't like what you were wearing. They didn't like the way you looked. They didn't like the way you smiled. They didn't like because your phone went off. They will throw you in jail and use the term contempt. To me, contempt and immunity are the two evils that really hurt our criminal justice system. They need to pull immunity and pull judges' ability to throw people in jail without due process. This judge threw her in jail for contempt of the restraining order. That's bullshit. It shouldn't be done. He's going to get away with it. He doesn't care. He wants to keep her in jail. He's running around smiling because he got Whitey. And you know what? This judge needs to be thrown out. He needs to be voted out. Dallas, if I lived in Dallas County, I would be at that courthouse. That courthouse ought to be flooded with people saying this judge needs to be gone. They need to sign. They need to do whatever's legal to get that guy out and raise enough hell to throw that guy out. And, in my movie that I'm going to write, probably a scene would be something like this, tyrannical things, and the scene is going to be enough people will abduct and take this judge, and he will disappear, and he will be tarred and feathered or hung somewhere for people to find, to saying the people are fed up. And that's going to be a great scene. Hopefully I'll remember to write that down. And again, my movie on this revolution, or what's going to spark it off, is going to be written by everybody. And I'm putting all the input from all the people in like a screenplay or like documented. And then a lot of people are saying, I want to be in your movie. I'm not making the movie, putting my money into it. I'm writing a movie that's going to be realistic, and I'm hoping that Hollywood, Netflix, somebody will pick it up. But unfortunately, because it doesn't push the left-wing agenda movie mantra and theme, it'll probably be never picked up. But if it is, it's going to be available online. Any small movie, any producer, anybody that wants to use it and, put the movie in the process, I'm going to make it easy by documenting it. All right? So, we'll end that there, I think. Oh, no, I forgot. I forgot the old judge. Hang on, let's get back to this judge. So Mr. Judge Moye of Dallas County, who wants to lecture this woman about disrespecting the laws of the state, goes into another judge's chambers, Judge Carlos Cortez, and points his finger and slaps him and gets in a fight. And you know what? Nothing happened over it. Wow, shocking. See, that's what the left is all about. Rules for you, not for us. We get to make the rules, but we don't have to comply. Only you pesky tax-paying citizens. But that's not the only run-in with the law that this piece of shit judge, the Honorable Judge Moye has been involved with. Back in 2016, while officials were probing the death on Friday, a woman posted on Facebook that Dallas County Judge Eric Moye had pulled a gun on her while driving on the tollway. Moye offered a slightly different version. Oh, isn't that nice? He had his version. He became concerned for his safety when he realized that the woman in the car was tailgating him for several miles. When the car pulled alongside him, he removed his gun from his glove box and placed it on the passenger seat, at which point the other car kept its distance. Oh, so he says he took it out of the glove box, put it on the seat. How did the other car see it? He pulled it out to threaten her with a gun. This is Judge Moye with his thuggish behavior. So Judge Moye is going to throw a woman in jail for wanting to work and help her employees and feed her kids. But he's out there starting fights with other judges. He's out there pulling a gun on people. He's a left-wing loon that screams for gun control, loved Obama, and yet he carries a gun in his car. Gee, I wonder if they did a background on him. He got in a fight. Isn't that physical violence? I thought if you got in a physical fight, you couldn't have a gun. Oh, Rick, he's a judge. You can't say that, So if you Google Judge Eric Moye, you get this Honorable Eric Moye. And if you scroll down, you can put a review. Oh, I did my review. They didn't post it. Edit your review at. There was a link here to post a review. I went to his Facebook page for the re-elect, and his Facebook page has been turned off. There was something about re-elect Judge Moye on his Facebook page, and it was turned off. So anyway, anybody that wants to contact this knucklehead, here's a phone number. It says, here's the address. What a piece of crap. And the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general of the great state of Texas has stood behind this woman and trashed this left-wing judge who is trying to push his left-wing anti-freedom, anti-everything that's good for America, who carries a gun in his car, who fights with other judges, but he's a judge dishing out justice in the left-wing lunacy of liberal land Dallas. All right, we'll end that there.